Welcome you to the Personal Banking Blueprint Podcast. Today, I got a dear friend of mine, Jon Lederman. You guys are in for an absolute treat. This guy knows more about Jacksonville than anybody that I ever have known. If you want to know about Jacksonville and you want to know what areas are really about to hit the next level, whether it's an investment, best schools for your family, best restaurants, and best coffee, Jon Lederman is your man. Welcome, Jon.
Thank you, Cassius. It's great to be here.
Awesome, man. So tell me, man, real estate is such a hot topic. A little bit about who you are, where your roots stem from, and how do you know so much about Jacksonville?
My name is Jon Lederman. I grew up in Jacksonville, moved here to the very Ellington area, and just really embraced everything that Jacksonville has to offer. Made Jacksonville my home. I did quite a bit of restaurant work in my younger days, my younger career, and went over to law enforcement, which allowed me to meet so many different people in so many different areas of Jacksonville. And it was phenomenal to be able to see all the different parts of this great city. So I took that, and then we decided to get a little bit adventurous as a family. We moved all around the country, landed in Louisville, Kentucky for a little while though. And that's where I started my real estate career. I was very fortunate to work with a great group there called Elite Homes. It's a new production home sales. So that's where I got my feet wet with real estate, but really just fell in love with it. And then when we moved back to Jacksonville, I decided to do real estate here as well. So that's where the story comes full circle, is coming back and doing real estate here in Jacksonville, Florida.
That's absolutely fantastic. Is there a specific area that you really focus on? Is it all over Jacksonville, or is it where your roots stem from in the Arlington area, which is absolutely on fire? We want to talk about
We do.
that.
Yeah, it is on Arlington. It's a great market. Specifically, no, I work everywhere in Jacksonville. I do a lot of work at the beaches. I do a lot of work in Atlantic Beach, Neptune Beach, Jacksonville Beach, but anywhere really in Jacksonville, St. Johns County, Clay County, and anywhere that the need is there, I'll go for the client. Matter of fact, I was just on the west side earlier today looking at a property over off of Pritchard and Bulls Bay.
Okay. Very good. West Side is actually exploding as well. I have a friend that was actually all the way in California, and he reached out to me and he says, Cassius, this area called Arlington, we're talking about it in California. What's going on over there? And I was like, you're in an investment meeting talking about Arlington in California. This is crazy. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in Arlington.
So the Arlington area, they received some funds from the city, and there is an entire project at this point to rebuild. Arlington was a flourishing area. There was quite a bit of affluence there in Arlington for a long time. And then as people started to move, they started to grow in their families. My generation went off to college, and the kids started to start their own families. At that time, there was a big shift to St. Johns County because of the school system and the school district. What's happened is that the St. Johns County district has now been flooded, and there's all of this opportunity in Arlington, in the Arlington area, and they've decided to put their money where their mouth is, and they've put a good chunk of change back into Arlington to make it back to where it once was. And just out of the sheer people moving out of Arlington, there were some areas that got neglected, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
They have since gone back in. Those areas are being cleaned up, and the residents are coming back into those areas, and it's bringing a new sense of economy into Arlington, and people are really starting to take notice. Obviously, if they're talking about it in California, they're taking notice of Arlington for sure.
Absolutely. And it is such a beautiful area. I mean, there's so much potential in Arlington, and with the revitalization of downtown Jacksonville and the Jaguar Stadium, it's just so close, like right across the bridge. And you're there. And the cool thing, I was excited that I know you, because I'm like, I know, like, this gentleman is Mr. Arlington. Like, he knows everything about Arlington. So I was happy to be able to connect.
I appreciate that compliment. That's flattering. I don't know everything about Arlington, but I do have a pretty good sense. I got my thumb on the pulse. It's an amazing, amazing area. There's so much. And you're right. It's a really short jump right across the bridge to get to the downtown area. And then it's also a really short jump to the beaches, I think a lot of folks forgot about that. It's so centralized to get really anywhere you want to be. And there's a lot of great property in Arlington, a lot of opportunity, even riverfront property in Arlington.
It
It's an
is.
amazing opportunity for folks that are ready to get back into that area.
That's so true. What's your thoughts on downtown over the next
I
10
think it's going to
years?
be amazing. I think that downtown is going to
Mhm.
flourish. I would like to see it go in the direction of a Chicago type of downtown where it's something that it's a destination, kind of like the Landing was back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah,
That was a destination. People drove from South Georgia or from South Florida and they would come to Jacksonville,
absolutely.
and that was a destination for people. So I think that's what it's going to turn back into. It's going to be interesting to see how the city manages that project and who they put in place to continue to manage that after they've built it. But I see good things coming for downtown.
Fantastic. It's funny we're mentioning this as Florida, Georgia is
I tell
approaching.
you
And
what.
so that landing area, a
Well,
lot of stories to be
and
had.
you know what? I'll let you have that, but some people say it's Georgia, Florida. I'm just saying.
Ooh, okay, okay, okay.
Depending on what
Absolutely.
side of the coin you're on. It's either Florida, Georgia, or Georgia, Florida.
That's
One of the
right.
two.
That's right. There ain't no splitting the
Yes, sir.
difference.
How do you feel about downtown? What do you think's
Very
gonna
good.
happen?
I'm excited for it. I think what's going on now, I feel as though the suburbs has been pushed to the point, and we've had so much growth in our suburbs, St. Johns
Incredible
County,
growth.
even up north, Amelia Island, out in the west side has been such a high growth area. I see everyone going out. I see transition happening downtown, and eventually it's going to be the race
I
back
think so.
in
I think
closer.
so.
The highways are getting jammed up. People are going to want to live close to where they work. And so that's what I see. And over the next 10 years, my goal is I got to get my place paid off so I can make that next investment into downtown before it gets to that.
I think it's going to happen quicker than people think, but I think your timeline's just about right. I think it's about in the next 10 years, you're going to see a major shift to where, just like you said, people are going to come in. There's so much big business that is coming to Jacksonville. Jacksonville is being invested in by these giant corporations. And I think that's a lot to do with Shad Khan and the business that he has and
Yeah.
the respect that he has globally, really. If you look at it, he's got a lot of respect in the business world. I think that's going to be something that's a super positive thing that continues to bring people into that downtown area. The funny part about what you're saying is, just like we just said, Arlington is a bridge ride over from that area. I truly believe that Arlington is going to be that best kept secret, and it's going to turn around to a very coveted area because that's going to be the closest suburb just outside of that new downtown area. When people get priced out of the market for being directly in that downtown area, they're going to look for the next best thing,
Yep.
and that's directly across the bridge right there in Arlington.
What a nugget. You just gave a glimpse of the future. So if you want to get ahead of the curve, there it is. And this is the man to make that move with, because absolutely spot on. San Marco is very expensive
Correct.
right now. Still opportunity. It's still cheap compared to 10 years from now. And there's pockets that are in San Marco that San Marco is like one block to the next is a different field, right? But I think that is going to continue to transition as well. And so, yeah, no, fantastic prediction there. Super excited to be able to work with you to try to take advantage and learn more about the transition that's actually coming here. Jon, let me ask you, man, you seem to really light up when it comes about real estate or any topic. Jon, if you guys get to know Jon, like if you got to spend a couple of hours with somebody, he's the one that to do it with for sure. What is it about real estate that you love and then that you're passionate?
There's a few different aspects about real estate. One of the things is real estate traditionally has been something that people have used to make money for their investments. People that are in the know, people that have that knowledge or have been educated, they make money on real estate. That's been the most traditionally market that is going to continue to have that investment that makes you the most money. A lot of people that I work with, a lot of folks that I've been introduced to, they don't have that education piece. They never had that teacher or that parent or a friend's parent or something else that gave them that knowledge. I really enjoy having conversations with people and giving them, like you said earlier, those nuggets, and then allowing them to make their own decisions. But at least they have that knowledge. If you never know, you never have an opportunity to be able to go in and make that
Right.
investment. And then you always wonder why you're sitting back on the bench while people that are buying their houses and starting their families. It's an honor and a privilege for me to have conversations like that and just really educate people on how real estate can be such a positive piece for them.
Absolutely. Yes. No, I think it's a lot of missed financial education, and what a way to be able to separate yourself from the pack is the willingness to take time to talk to someone and establish a real estate wealth building strategy. Today, you hear so many different financial instruments, whether it's crypto and all of this stuff. And I'm like, what's real? What can
What's
I
tangible?
touch?
Absolutely.
That's right. You're not going to go wrong. Everyone has to have a place to stay. No matter what Elon Musk robots come about, we got to have a place to stay.
And I think that's
Um,
having that in mind, Cassius. You talk about that. Everybody's got to have a place to stay, whether you're renting or whether you're paying on a mortgage. And then you still have to have that place to stay, right? But the difference
mhm.
is paying someone else's mortgage plus a fee that they're making money on, or investing in yourself and having your own mortgage and your own
Mm,
home. And then with the plan that we just discussed and what you're rolling out, if you take both of those educational pieces together, I think that's where it's really going to elevate these folks that you're working with or that I'm working with or that we can work with together and allow them free that extra money up in a matter of 7 to 10 years so that they can continue to build that generational wealth for their families as well.
absolutely. You know what? Even speaking on that, one major misstep in my community, and I did the same thing, was a starter home. I didn't do a
Mhm.
starter home. I rented until I can get the home that I
Correct.
wanted. But there is so much opportunity in that foundation of a starter home that you roll into the next property. So many people, that's not talked about anymore. That is a beautiful thing of a starter home. What's your
What a
thoughts on that?
great point. That's a beautiful piece. And you're absolutely correct. I think it has to do with the social media. I think it has to do with the time that we're in where everybody wants that instant gratification. And they do. They want to have their mansion as their first home. My first home was a
Yep.
3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home on the west side that I purchased for $62,000. And it needed
Wow.
a lot of TLC. But
Right.
but you
Right.
to that point, since that starter home, I was able to use real estate and then very fortunate because I had those conversations with folks that let me into those secrets, just like you said, that's a big secret. I was able to
Yeah.
parlay that into bigger, nicer homes, and that's really how it works.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of that, in terms of getting started, and we think about interest rates and how do those affect, have you spoken to individuals that are hesitant to buy because they're worried about long-term mortgage payments?
Extremely hesitant, especially in a younger community. And when I say here, I'm not that old, but we're starting to get there where people are starting to look to us for
Yeah.
these tidbits, for these nuggets, like you said. And I think that's the best part of what I get to do is to talk to folks that are in a younger generation and kind of pass that on a little bit and let them know, hey, listen, it might not seem like it's comfortable right now, but what's more uncomfortable is putting yourself in a position where you're going to be way out of your comfort zone in payment and then possibly be in a position that maybe you lose a job, maybe the corporation that you work for downsizes,
Mm,
they have corporate restructuring, and then unfortunately you're back on the hunt for another job. If that happens and you haven't saved aggressively, the potential there is that you're going to lose the home first because that's really what goes first. That's the most expensive monthly bill that you have is your mortgage. Again, I think that giving that educational piece to people that are starting in that, and it doesn't matter how old they are. Like you said, maybe you're
yeah.
45 or 50 years old and you've always rented, but now's the time you want to own a home. Great. Let's start with something that is, like you said, a starter home. Don't be so afraid of the interest rates that where they are right now. People that are that age, they're going to remember the 80s, but people that are 20 years, they never experienced 18, 19, 20% mortgage rates. When they see 5, 6, 7%, and they're like, oh, I don't want to pay. I wait till they go back down to 2% or 3%. That may never happen again. When is the best time to buy? Right now. The answer is always right now, because you have no idea what the mortgage rates are going to do.
100%. Love it. How often do clients express concerns about the interest rates? And do they, obviously that's something that's coming up where they're holding off, waiting on it to come down. You said we don't know.
Sure.
Right? We don't know. You mentioned something about the difference between an interest rate and an APR. You want to talk about that and explain that?
The way that the APR is calculated, it's a little bit different. Now, I will defer to my financial experts on this, because I am by no means the financial expert on mortgages and interest rates. But the way that it's calculated has the term of the mortgage. For instance, if the APR is calculated in a manner that your interest is getting paid first, regardless, for the first 10 to 15 years, what most people don't understand, especially young people that don't have the experience of purchasing a home or, flipping a home or going into their second home, what they don't understand is the amount of interest that you are going to pay first on that paper supersedes the amount of money that you are going to have in the principal. So it's an educational piece. I absolutely would love to have that conversation and maybe invite one of our mortgage people on your podcast so that they can explain it a little bit better.
Yeah.
I will say this. The other thing that is a standout nowadays is the amount of programs that the federal government offers in getting a mortgage. And I think the way that people take advantage of that, Cash, is you apply for anything and everything you can with your mortgage broker to get any piece that you can, any piece of that puzzle that you can, whether it be a $3,000 grant or if it's a $30,000 grant. They're out there.
Right.
You just have to know how to apply for them. These mortgage brokers know a lot better than I do about how to apply for these grants, but we partner with the best in the business. Anybody that has any questions about that, please reach out to Cassius, reach out to me, and we'll get you in touch with the right people, because a lot of people think they can't afford it because they don't have a down payment. They don't have any savings. There are programs that are in place that can help with those things. It just depends if we can get you qualified. Who doesn't get qualified? The people that never ask.
100%.
So
you don't have to be an expert in everything, but you need to be an expert at hiring coaches. So you need a real estate coach. You need a faith coach. You need a fitness coach. And that's all you got to do, and lean on their expertise. So that's perfect. And John is your man.
And be coachable. That was something, Cassius, that was something I struggled with for a long, long time. Be coachable. And here's the other thing. Even if you have a coach that's a little bit your junior, be coachable. Maybe they've got those nuggets that you need and you just haven't seen it. But you've got to be able to have the accountability piece and say, what? They're right. And if I just followed through with it, I'm going to be in a much better position.
Absolutely. Love that. Another golden nugget for the crowd. Wow. This is awesome. This is something that I really think is the reason why you want John. And it's the long-term relationships. Do you have any stories of how you stay in contact with clients that you've helped purchase homes? Because that means everything. I know John, he's a relationship person, right? Can you talk a little bit about if someone purchased from you, you don't disappear, they never hear from you again?
It's something that I think some people call it an art. It was just the way we were raised in our family. And I know in yours too. I haven't met your grandmother, but I know that listening to you and talk about your grandfather and your grandmother and you talking about your family, it really is such an important piece that gets missed. I don't have any people that are probationary. In other words, they're not probationary to me. Everybody gets treated the same. But as you were saying that, I was grabbing something off my desk. It is just as simple as this right here. Every day, and I learned this from Watson, actually, in our orientation class at Watson, every single day, I sit down and write thank you cards. And you'd be so surprised because people are so genuinely, though, not just a scribble. It's a genuine thank you card. It's a genuine hello, how are you card. and you send that, and people are so happy to get those things in the mail. They're so appreciative, over the moon that you took the time out of your day to handwrite something and send it to them, and put a stamp on it and send it to them in the mail. You have no idea what that means to people when they get that, especially older people that might not have a lot of
Yeah.
family around anymore, or maybe their family doesn't talk to them anymore. But it's something that is invaluable, that I have found invaluable, is just to show up for those people. Shoot them a phone call. What I do is I will look through my contacts. Everybody goes in my contacts. I'll look through my contacts, because you can either scroll through Facebook and Instagram, or you can scroll through your contacts and make
Yep.
somebody's day. And every day you can make somebody's day, that person is going to turn around and tell somebody else how you made their day, and they're going to want a piece of that too. And that's how I've been able to build more business. But they're genuine. You have to be genuine.
Yeah. 100%, because they'll be able to
Of
see
course.
it. And like I said, I know that's not something that you even have to think about, because it's just
I
who you
appreciate
are.
that.
I don't know what it is, but every 6 months, you probably see my name come across your phone. Like, it keeps pulling me back to you, pulling me back to you. It's like, time
Yes,
to call
sir.
John.
Absolutely.
So I know others
And
feel
I'm
the
glad you
same
do.
way. Absolutely.